Hey friends, welcome to this week's video. I'm going to preface by the fact of saying that I am extremely short on time on this review, so I may be missing some things, and I promise I will be shooting something else that will go further into these earbuds but more in a comparison. But in order to get this review out and to get you a comparison, I have to get this out now, otherwise I'm going to run out of time for the return window just in case I don't like these. So bear with me. There's just a lot going through my head and I'm trying to get this out because someone requested this. But the request was Noble Audio's Falcon Pros, and I believe this is their third attempt at wireless earbuds, but this might be their first iteration for true wireless. And a lot of people were really excited about that because they're known for their good tuning, pretty solid soundstage, and a lot of that audio engineering that audiophiles like. Again, most people know them from their IEMs, however, the true wireless for out of convenience is obviously something that everybody is trying to aim for, and it's going to try to hit that mainstream. The big thing that is, I think, the attractive point on this is that this was tuned and engineered by, what's his name, John Moulton, and apparently he's a big name in audio. Obviously, I'm not an audiophile, so I don't know the history behind that, but we will check these guys out and see what's the big deal. The box is relatively basic and it carries the standard stuff you'd normally encounter with true wireless earbuds. The buds, the charging case, the charging cables, various tips, and your instruction manual. Standard affair with predominantly plastic build with a utilitarian design language. Check out those lights. The controls have a plethora of tap features from single to quadruple taps. While this is a great thing, there are some redundancies that make the operation annoying. Look at that double tap for hear through and volume down. If you're playing music, you'll only be able to do volume down, and you can't toggle hear through unless you stop your music or use the app. There's definitely some optimization opportunities here to make this a better experience. So halfway done with packing, but I should probably talk about these earbuds and the case before I bounce and edit this in an airport. But the case is mostly plastic. In fact, it's all plastic. And while it does have a sort of small looking footprint, if you stick it in your pocket, it does bulge a bit. It is quite a chunker, so if you're carrying this around a lot, just something to be cognizant of, you will have that sticking out. In terms of the case itself, charging is pretty solid, hour and a half for full charge, and you have Qi charging as well as USB charging, so you have some options there depending on what your favorite type of charging is. The only really big flaw about the case that I see is really this hinge here, and it's twofold. It's basically, one, I question the longevity. It doesn't seem like a very solid hinge, but also in terms of the lid, despite having that sort of grooves in there to help with the connectivity of the earbuds, and the magnet being relatively strong, there seems to be some connection issues with it. So even though this case is closed, it will still stay connected to my phone, so it doesn't recognize that it's inside. And sometimes if I press hard enough, I can still access the touch controls weirdly. So there seems to be just like an extremely strong connection with the phone, and it won't disconnect when I need it to. So I think that's just a big flaw, just because it gives some inconsistency. I don't know when it's on or off. There's times where I'm playing a game in the corner and I had shut off my earbuds, or thought I shut off my earbuds, and all the action is happening across the room. So that's not the most ideal situation, but maybe they can fix that in a future iteration or even a firmware, but who knows. As we move on to the earbuds themselves, they are relatively light. The one thing that I think is annoying about them, besides the fact that they kind of stick in your ear really deeply, something that we'll get into the fit shortly, but they do have like lights on them. I don't like that necessarily, because when you're actually using them, those blink around, and I think if you watch the specifications portion, you saw that those things blinking when it's trying to sync and do all this sort of stuff or play music. So it does somewhat look like you're conducting traffic from your ears because of that. So I think that it just makes it look a little bit less sleek. I'm not exactly sure why they need that at all, outside of maybe an indicator, but I feel like they could have placed that somewhere different. But overall, I do like the aesthetic of it. It's very nice and sleek with the black and midnight tones. but the overall package is quite nice. Again, there's some flaws there. But anyway, I think that's all I have on the baseline of these things. Let's talk about fit, because that's going to be the next important thing. And I got to finish packing, so let me do that. The earbuds have relatively long stems, which leads to a deep fit. They are comfortable once in, but some people may not like that feeling. The earbuds come with various sized tips and are horn-shaped to improve isolation and sound qualities. They feel pretty standard, but seem to be comfortable over long listening sessions. On head, the earbuds protrude significantly and are the opposite of low profile. The overall package is comfortable and secure if you're sitting in an office or home, but that changes when we move to active things. When testing these on the field, the long stems created a sort of sway to these headphones, and stepping hard or jumping gave me that stethoscope effect, which affected my listening experience. While these have waterproofing to keep up with most of your workouts and weather, the fit does seem to require frequent adjustment, and it felt like they were constantly shifting throughout my runs. Lastly, the most annoying thing was that when running hard or jumping, it often resulted in phantom taps which would stop my music or engage other functions. That's why these videos took so long to shoot, just because the buds would register a tap and stop the video. Not ideal. These are definitely home listening earbuds. However, when we move to connectivity, it's extremely solid. Outside those phantom taps, I didn't have any drops in music or skips in tracks through my entire workout. I did not experience much separation anxiety when running drills and felt relatively free to get full strides in. Running out, I believe the range teetered between 35 to 40 yards consistently, and I've noticed that even in my brick apartment, I can transition to different rooms without losing connectivity. Overall, super solid execution in terms of connection and range. Wrapping up the field, let's move on to the mics.
13 yards to 47 yards on the other side.
Alright, so windy day here in Boston. A little bit cooler, getting definitely into the fall season. However, I wanted to obviously get an outdoor sample of what the microphones sound like. Then they don't really have any special features that protect against wind, but we'll have to see how this recording comes out. There's a lot of cars around, a lot of people around. Most of what I do on the outdoor mode when I'm recording these things. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. But definitely, let's move indoors and get a clean sample and talk about what we just heard. So moving indoors, I will say that the audio is significantly better from a clarity perspective. However, it's not going to win out in terms of other comparisons to headphones. I did notice on the outdoor recording, I was a little bit quiet, and I've seen better performance out of other headphones. As well as when I'm indoors, while I do have the clarity, it doesn't sound necessarily natural. So obviously things like the MW08s, the PI7s, some other headphones out there, they do have a better ability to provide a more natural tone to your voice. But the other thing that I noticed when listening back to some of these indoor recordings is that I can come off pretty harsh. So that might be like my speaking volume or whatever that might be, but I could come off quite harsh. I found that some of the tones that I was speaking or some of the inflections in my voice really came through, and I was like, ow, that hurt. And I hope that's not coming through normally, like when I speak, but I don't think so. But yeah, it's something that you want to be cognizant of. It's definitely going to be okay with volume when you're indoors, but it just may come and smack someone in the face that you're speaking to. So be cognizant of that, especially if you're trying to use these all around and use these for conferencing. I will say that outdoors, you noticed how like ambient noise kind of got in the way, and that's going to be regardless of if you're on hear-through mode or not. But indoors, there's really not that much issue with hear-through mode being on. The recordings are relatively the same, regardless of what mode you're on. The thing that we need to talk about with hear-through is really going to be around your music experience and sort of how that ambient noise mode affects everything else. So I think that is a good transition here to talk about that ambient sound mode and what it does to your overall experience.
We'll be focusing on ambient noise on this one because there is no ANC. While I understand that this is an audiophile tailored device, having the option to turn on and off ANC would be appreciated, especially because these are over $300. Passive isolation seems to be very solid considering there's no tech behind it, and the ear tips seem to do a good job of isolation, but noise definitely still is audible, don't get me wrong. From a hear-through perspective, it's quite sensitive. I feel like I can pick up a lot of noise similar like you'd see in the neural loops. However, the quality does not seem very natural, and it doesn't seem to tune into any particular sort of noise. It just seems to be bringing in a lot of things slightly robotic. Additionally, there's no wind protection tech, and wind definitely seems to affect the ambient experience. So let's move on to some sound samples so you can get a feel for them for yourself.
So hey friends, we are on a little bit of a layover in Newark Airport, just waiting for our flight to Copenhagen. We got misdirected a little bit, or like redirected a little bit. So I had a little bit of time to shoot this preface. I know we were supposed to go into sound, but I did want to start off by saying I am not an audiophile. At least I know these are audiophile grade earbuds, but I will say that I've listened to a lot of earbuds. However, I don't feel confident calling myself an audiophile because I don't have the technical background to talk about sub-mids, sub-bass, all of the very technical details of the sound and help you understand what I'm listening for. I have a lot of earbuds to sort of bounce my experience off of and compare things against. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's definitely more casual listener, but someone who's listened to a lot of earbuds. So take my opinions with a grain of salt, and all you audiophiles there, please don't roast me too hard. I'm trying my best with this. I am learning over time, but there's definitely going to be some things that are probably missing from a more technical and approach. I will definitely link a person up above that has a bit more technical explanation of these earbuds that probably do it a little bit more justice, but here's my take.
Overall, the earbuds provide an extremely good separation of instruments and great clarity in the mids and trebles. They definitely feel more open than the MW08 Sports and the PI7s from what I remember. However, things get interesting as we talk about genres and tuning. I think the stock tuning is great for vocal-centric music. Trebles shine extremely well and really bring out people's voices. I seem to like the bassline tuning most for pop, alternative, classic music, and lighter R&B like Luke Chang. I did feel like if I moved into heavier bass tracks in the rock and rap side of my playlist, the bass seemed to be missing some punch and control with certain tracks. Luckily, we can use the EQ to change things up to accommodate to those genres a little bit more. However, switching to those EQs can be annoying if you're big on shuffling through multi-genre playlists and you're listening. Setting the EQ will make your signature less versatile unless you know what you're doing. It also kind of defeats the purpose of this wizard man, John Molter, tuning, I feel like. By messing with the EQ kind of defeats the purpose of all the tuning effort that he put into it. In terms of visual media, I wouldn't play with these. I tried watching a fight with these as well as some sports commentary, and things came up kind of harsh from a purely spoken word aspect. It's almost like the voices come out too clean and sharp. It's definitely not pleasant having Stephen A scream directly into your ear with these. But let's move on to some sound samples. I'll be starting off with a neutral signature and then throw in some random presets so you get a gauge of the power of the EQ and the stock tuning. The application. Lord. This thing looks like it was made 20 years ago. The app suffers from basic layouts, terribly rendered layering of assets, and overall poor execution outside the EQ. I mean, look at the rating on this guy. The app gives you some customization over tap controls, but it isn't worth the hassle, and everything is pretty hard to read and navigate. I get it, you might be asking, Volt, why are you in dark mode? It's probably affecting the experience. Well, apparently if I'm in light mode, or not dark mode, the headphones can't even be detected, so I can't even use the app. There's a ton of problems with this app, and it's in desperate need of an overhaul. I really don't want to spend any more time on this app, so let's move on to my final thoughts. Because they're audiophile quality and true wireless, I just need a little bit more time to deduce what I feel about them completely. But if I'm just thinking about this as a true wireless set, I hate them. They are not convenient. They are just a little bit not nuanced enough for your everyday life. So from the app perspective, that app is trash. Check out the ratings. It's so bad. Like, they need to figure out their sort of layouts, their coloring scheme, and all that sort of stuff to make it a little bit more intuitive, and really work on like the overlap issue that they're having with their text and everything. It's just a really hard to read app and really limited functions. I will say that it was really good at with the EQ. Like, when you play around with that EQ, it actually impacts sound signature to a heavy extent. So if you're good at tuning it, this is going to be great for you. However, when I'm starting to think about just everyday use, the gestures, I've never said this before, but the gestures are too deep. So usually I ask companies for hold feature, triple tap, give me the ability to change my volume, all that sort of stuff. These do give you that ability, but they're just buried. So unless your taps are extremely consistent, if those triple and quadruple taps, you're going to get lost in the sauce a bit, and you may not get the right feature that you're looking for. Basic stuff like pause, skip track, do that sort of stuff, you'll get them pretty simply, but that's just an issue from my perspective. And then in terms of like reliability of those, again, if you're just sitting around and just tapping away, you'll be okay for the most part. However, if you're in the field or running around, you're gonna get those ghost taps, and I don't know what the explanation for that is, but it's annoying. Not being able to just jump up and down or just walk, like do a quick jog around the field without having my music stop and start, or activate other features is annoying. And again, like obviously when I'm doing harder runs, it happens more often, but I would expect them to at least do that. And like, as I'm talking about the field, again, we also still have those stethoscope effects. The long nature of these earbuds and the way that they stick out does cause some sway, and as you move around, you start having that stethoscope feeling where you hear that hollow noise of just the device shaking around. It's not great for audio. So there's just a lot of flaws with the design, and as well as just the features of it, where I just really can't approve it. But then this is where that struggle comes in that I mentioned before. While I crap on all the other portions, the sound is amazing, and quite possibly the best sound signature I've seen. Again, like I do say that, like, you know, certain genres or even tracks, you could tune it, but what's the point when like the biggest thing is that it was tuned by this wizard guy? Like, even out of the box, the neutral or flat tuning that they provide you is extremely solid. So it's super clear, it's super balanced, there's a lot of nice separation and a lot of nice distinction between vocals and instruments and all that sort of stuff, that it makes me hard to just like discard this. As a true wireless set, absolutely. Like, I don't think that I would recommend this if this is your only earbud. However, if you are one of those people that have multiple earbuds for different purposes, you have your conferencing one, you have your active one, you have your like errand running one, and you have like a music one, this would fit into your music one. So if you're a multi-earbud kind of person, it might be worth it. But if you're not, and you're looking for like an all-rounder that'll get you through your day and fit multiple use cases, then I can't recommend this, because it's too much money for middle of the range sort of functionality, even potentially lower than middle of the range functionality because of inconsistency. So I'm very much in between this. I'm personally not gonna recommend this, but again, like I said, if you are audio focused and audio is your main focus and you're just gonna be sitting down to use this to listen to audio, this is like you're sitting in the office working, listening to audio, sitting at home trying to go through your playlist, these will be perfectly fine. But if you're expecting to use these in your commute, you expect to use this in your daily life with conferencing and working out, I can't suggest them. There are just better all-around earbuds for that. But like I said, I'm running short on time on this review, so I will be revisiting this in a comparison with the Bowers. Nope. Man, all these companies. Bang & Olufsen EQs, another audiophile-centric earbud that these commenters, my commenters, have requested. So I'm going to do the EQ review while I'm in my wedding at Copenhagen, but then I'll come back and do a comparison with a friend to get a both, like, you know, initiated into the deepness of the earbud game and someone who's kind of new to it. So I think it'll give us a good perspective of like people who've listened to a lot of earbuds and people who haven't. But that's my intention when I come back. I'm gonna shoot that really quick because I'm gonna have to make a really snap decision what earbud to keep and what to recommend to you guys. But keep in mind that those two reviews are coming after this one, so please stay tuned. I do appreciate all of the comments and all of the, you know, engagement that you guys have been giving me over the last few weeks. I've been trying to push this content as fast as possible to make sure that it's meeting up to your guys' requests. So I appreciate that you guys are sticking out with me and that we're seeing pretty good growth on this channel. But anyway, as always, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, doing all the things that you normally do on a video that you like and love. And I will see you shortly. God, this is such a rush, but I'm sorry, but thank you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.